done anything for us. There are people sitting in church today. You came to church maybe very dull today because this week you have been suffering. But pure worship is not based on the miracle you received. It's not based on whether you failed your exam or passed your exam. It's not based on whether you were divorced or your marriage is working, whether you have a child or you don't have a child, whether you are married or you're not married, whether they bounced you at the American embassy or they didn't bounce you. That is not the basis of worship. Of course, when God does good things for us, we can come and worship him. But until we grasp that our worship is only based on two things, God as our creator, Christ as our redeemer, until we do that, we cannot offer real worship to the Lord, because your mood, your experience will always color your worship. But when we come before the Lord, two things we remember. He made us and he redeemed us. He made us and he redeemed us. So I don't know what your experience has been this week. Maybe this has been one of those weeks where, like Job said, I wish this day had never happened, the day on which I was born. Maybe some of you are looking at it and say, I wish second week of November 2023 had never happened. I wish it would be erased from the earth and from history because I've gone through hell second week of November 2023. But he's still your creator and he's still your redeemer. Maybe you lost your job this past week, but you didn't lose your creator, you didn't lose your redemption. So when we come before God, we understand what we have lost, we understand what has gone wrong, but our focus is only on these two things. God is our creator, Christ is our redeemer. And that is the basis of worship. That means we must take time to appreciate God as our redeemer, our creator. And sometimes we take it for granted. We take it for granted, just like we take so many things for granted. And we don't even value the life we have. Well, if you were not alive, you would not even have experienced pain. If you were not alive, you would not have lost property. You lost property because you were alive. So being alive is far more worth than the experience that comes because you are alive. I'm alive. God created me. God is my creator. I worship him because he made me. Life is hard, but I'm born again. I'm redeemed. I'm washed by the blood of the Lamb. I'm a child of God. So I worship the Lord. Is your experience the best? Not exactly. Is God still your creator? Yes, sir. Is Christ still the redeemer? Yes, sir. Do you have all?
Yeah, today's another day, and I want to react to preaching or a sermon of Pastor Mensa Otabil of the International Central Gospel Church. And as we do it every time, I just take a portion of one of his sermons and I react to it. Before I continue, I would like to make a reference to a quote from Marcus Aurelius in his meditation, where he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will get strength." So in relation to what we just watched, I would like to say that most Christians actually sacrifice, or should I say worship God through our moods. And if today we don't feel okay, we don't put in the worship to God because we feel that we are not in the mood and God hasn't dealt with us, or God hasn't done good to us. So in situations where we are supposed to worship God in truth and in spirit, we calm down and we, have the notion that God hasn't done anything for us. And that was what Reverend Mensa Otabil was referring to. And he even said that don't be so down every time you come to God. Always have in mind that when you are worshiping God, you should see God as our creator and Christ as our redeemer. That should be the first thing you need to think about before you think about anything at all. So if you have this in mind, even the mood that you are in, even if your house was burnt, even if your wife died, you will still have reverence for him. When you get in front of him, you will still be in the mood of worship. And that is how we Christians should see God. And we shouldn't worship God through our mood. Like today, if we are happy, we go to church. If we are not happy, we don't go to church and all that. And this is one of the things that really touched my heart. This is the part of the sermon that touched my heart and made me realize that me in person as a Christian, sometimes I worship God through my mood and I'm not being real with God, and that is not how God expects me to worship him. And he expects me to worship him even when I am down, even when I am up. In all situations, he is still God, so I need to give him that reverence. Yeah. And I think that's all I have to say. The name is ADB. That was my opinion. Mouth dismissing. Hasta la vista.
And we say bye-bye.